You thought you had it bad on the Big Apple with Bloomberg, right, trying to take my Pepsi, but now you have a guy who's, inciting riots and leading to police deaths. I hear you, though. The voters have to do it. I'm telling you,
if I did not love Greg Gutfeld, and I mean love Greg Gutfeld, I would not go to New York.
Yeah,
I would not go to New York. You could not pay me. It's just how much I love Greg that I go just to do Red Eye and all the viewers. That's the only way. It sickens me that a man can openly call himself a communist and you vote him in.
In a landslide. I mean, in a mandate. A mandate.
No, and that's the whole point. We continue to look at the politicians. Until you change the heart and minds of the people, of the voters, you're going to get de Blasio's in power positions. That's just the way it goes. So that goes back to my initial point when we were talking about race. All of this is distraction because it keeps us from going to the people who don't know what the conservative movement actually means. They don't know what we actually stand for. They only know what they read on Salon or they heard on Bill Maher.
Yep.
They don't know us. And we need to present ourselves, show them who we are behind the lens, behind the camera, behind the politics, that we are people. We love our country. We love our families. We love our communities. And we see a solution to fixing what is wrong instead of blaming other people and putting responsibility and claiming victimization. So we need to introduce ourselves to them as opposed to playing this progressive game where they do something and we react and then they do something else and we react and we never have a chance to actually win the hearts and minds of the American people.
And don't forget, contrary to popular belief, we love our dogs too. Listen, Sonnie, Governor Palin, you've been there from day one with us, one of the original Palinistas. How do you think she's doing as far as this unique role she's been playing, not only endorsing candidates, but out there really affecting policy and calling Obama and Boehner and everybody out at every turn? How do you think that's playing, and what do you expect from her, or what do you hope from her as the next couple of years come up?
Well, I'm looking forward to. It's a very funny song that I want to make sure I can actually one day get to hear Sarah Palin sing. She told me that she knew the words to Rapper's Delight.
Nice.
So I am still waiting for the opportunity to catch her again because I would like to see proof of this so-called lyrical ability. But no, what I like in everything that she does is that she's fearless. And if nothing else, what I've taken from her and what I've taken from Andrew is that idea of her being fearless and him saying that I'm going to do it my way. And when you take those two things, you kind of get me as I am today. And that's kind of an awesome feeling. So when you watch her now and everything she says, every move she makes, they can't help but criticize. They can't help but scrutinize. I just look at it like that just means God is sending her more grace and more blessings her way. So I'm excited to see what she does in the future. And hopefully I'll be, moving and shaking just as much as the governor soon.
All right, Sonnie Johnson, listen, always a pleasure to have you here. It goes so fast every time we talk because it's a lot of fun, but love talking to you, and Happy New Year once again, and you're welcome here anytime, as you know, and keep up the fight and keep that voice out there. We'll be tracking your every move, and I know you got a lot of followers doing the same thing.
All right, thank you so much for having me, and have a very, very Happy New Year.
And I'm just going to think about that whole Sugar Hill Gang thing all night tonight now.
Yeah, see? That needs to be a Twitter hashtag right there.
Right, but in Alaska with like a lot of snow involved. Got a lot of possibilities here. Rapping Huskies, perhaps, or, the sled dogs. For more on Sonnie Johnson, follow her on Twitter at Sonnie Johnson and visit ctghq.org. Sarah Palin speaks out on the Steve Scalise saga. The Louisiana congressman has been tied to a Ku Klux Klan group. John Boehner and others in the establishment GOP have stood by Scalise after it was uncovered that he spoke to a David Duke group. Palin posted questions to Scalise from radio host Mark Levin, and Palin added, quote, "Defense of this last decade racist action is disgusting and wrong, as is defense of the even more recent immoral actions of our presidents, with any association he embraced with the racist Jeremiah Wright and the anti-American domestic terrorist Bill Ayers. I'll add to Levin's list. Do political leaders think Americans are so stupid we don't recognize the despicable double standard here, and that we're so weakly complacent that we'll put up with this, unquote. Scalise, go-along to get-along establishment guy, has been supported by Boehner and the GOP. Imagine if he were a Tea Party activist. As Levin put it, no one's saying Scalise is a racist, but the idiot defense is not good enough for the number 3 Republican House leader. A Happy New Year from Sarah Palin. The governor posted some pictures of her son Trig standing on the new family member. Trig got a boost from service dog Jill Hadassah. The left went bananas, calling the picture an example of animal cruelty. We saw a sweet 6-year-old and his new pet that he loves. Happy New Year to you as well, Governor. Keep smiling, despite the hate still coming strong from the left in 2015. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and visit sarahpalinchannel.com.
It's time for Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson and Kevin Scholla.
Hello, Susan Stimson. Happy New Year.
Hey, the same to you, Kevin.
So it could be a very happy New Year with some of the latest developments just breaking this weekend. It looks like Mr. John Boehner is going to have a challenger, and it's a Palin guy, too, Louis Gohmert.
I think that challenges and elections, they sharpen us. And for candidates to go completely unchallenged can tend to make us more complacent. And so I think that this is a good thing. I think that it's offering the caucus, the Republican caucus, a choice, and I'm actually glad to see this.
Couple things on it, too, doesn't it? One, it's nice to see somebody step up and not like some fringe guy or somebody who's doing it just to make a name. I mean, this is a guy who, has a lot of respect in Congress, but also, isn't this really going to let people know where everybody else stands to see who, it has enough guts to go ahead and say, you know what? It's one thing to say, I'm not going to vote for Boehner if he has an opponent, and then he doesn't have an opponent, so you don't have to act. But here now, we're going to really choose up sides here in the big kickball game.
Well, the question then is going to be, will they do a voice vote? Will there be an actual recorded vote? I'm all for recorded votes. I think that people should know how their elected leaders voted, but I think that that's something that I still wonder how that will end up playing out.
Oh, you and your crazy transparency ideas. Come on. You remember, this is the administration that told us, we were going to see and hear everything, and it's been, as secret as could be.
Look, I know leadership is difficult. As soon as you make a decision, you're going to have a group of people upset with you, but that is what leadership is. And I know that my thoughts on Boehner, I think probably at this time that it's a time for change. And I think that we need to make sure that we're continuing to drive this in the right direction. And that literally means to the right, to a more limited government, not that Congress hasn't been taking votes that are to the right, but the actual actions and what's being worked out behind the scenes. That's where I do have some questions about Speaker Boehner. So I think that this challenge is good, and I think it is definitely going to be interesting to see what the vote count is.
What an amazing difference this could make. I mean, could you imagine if he pulled this off somehow? I mean, one, for the country, obviously, to get people back on track, and two, for the Republican Party, who a lot of people are ready to just completely leave. I know so many people who are longtime RNC members or longtime registered Republicans who have completely dropped, as opposed to the take that you and I and Sarah Palin have taken of trying to get that party back to the Reagan years. But, that certainly you can understand those who have jumped ship with what they've seen. But if you could really say, look, you're gone, Boehner, and we're not going to stand for this. Not only would it strengthen the country and strengthen the party, I think it would strengthen Republicans' chances moving ahead to 2016 because they'd probably have a good resume to stand on with, say, a Louis Gohmert or somebody in there that you could trust, as opposed to, what's going to happen if it's the Boehner-McConnell deal again for 2 years. They're going to just, be wishy-washy, and then the GOP will be blamed for everything, and Hillary or whoever the Democrat is going to waltz in.
Well, I think that this is a real picture of incoming congressmen And I think that this is, where the metal meets the road, or the rubber meets the road, as they say. And don't think that it's easy with what Congressman Gohmert has done. I mean, this is not an easy thing that he has done, and I'm sure that he'll pay a political price for this down the road if he doesn't end up winning Speaker of the House. But I commend him for the courage of doing this, and hopefully more people in Congress will have the same type of courage to go ahead and stand up on these issues where their gut tells them, where they know that it's not right, what the leaders are having them do. And I think we are seeing an awakening nationwide on this. And so I commend the congressman for doing this.
All right, certainly something to keep an eye on here. Things getting very interesting already early on in 2015. Susan Stimson, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Susan Stimson in Virginia. More Commonwealth Common Sense next week. Now our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. It is fitting at the beginning of the new year to make some resolutions for the coming year. The Republicans are now in charge of Congress. Here are some recommendations for their consideration. 1, we will tackle the systemic problem of reducing the size of the federal government because we actually told voters that we believe in a smaller federal government. 2, we will complete a real budget prior to the next fiscal year because we assured voters that we would do a better job of governing our nation's fiscal affairs. 3, we will put the national security and defense of the nation as a priority. 4, we will reduce regulations and wasteful spending because we said we would. And 5, we will stop talking and actually do something. These are 5 simple resolutions, but not easy in Washington. But Republicans have a chance to actually do what they say they're going to do, even if Obama chooses to veto their actions. Thus far, the Republicans have not put forth a comprehensive plan to achieve their election goals. Oh, sure, they talk about passing the Keystone Pipeline and some kind of so-called jobs bill, but that stuff is minor. We desperately need bold leadership that tackles the big problems now. The country is feeling slightly optimistic about the future. Republicans can help build that wave of American optimism by tackling the big issues. Now is not the time to be timid. This is Sarah Steelman for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Commonwealth Common Sense and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Susan B. Stimson, at Sarah_Steelman, and at 3DSTS. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Susan Stimson, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Sonnie Johnson, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, 3D Security and Training Academy. Visit 3DSTA.com. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.